Hey, everybody, welcome to day 3 of how to make money with email. Thanks again to our friends at Raptive for making this possible. I say that, and I don't say that lightly. It's really nice that they do this. They are investing in you. I charged them real dollars to do this. They're trying to pay me in dairy products, and I said, oh, no. Although I do like cheese. They invest in your ongoing development, and I think that's awesome. So clearly you're working with a company that cares about you. So how did it go? Do I have any updates? Anybody feel brave enough to share? Good or bad? Frustrations or elations? Come on, let's open it up. Emily, let's hear you.
So I'm a keener, and I took my blogging allotment yesterday and used it to rework my segment. And I know I posted on the Facebook page, but I'll share here. So I wasn't sure like how many pop-up intros did I need. I knew that there were like people who knew nothing about fermenting and that there were people who did lots. So I looked at my top 25 articles, and then I sort of grouped them into categories and highlighted them and figured out what I was going to do pop-ups for that way. Yeah, and I think I'm going to make a few, and I am going to daisy chain them. So at the end of one, I'm going to say, if you want to do more, and I'll have a click and move them into a new audience, and they can go through a few of them.
I love it.
If they want.
That's great. Congratulations on making good progress. So any tips for those that are wanting to do multiples at once?
Well, I'm in MailerLite, and I'd already had one. I think that probably setting up the automation is the hardest part if you've never done that. It's scary. Like the first time I did it, I wasn't sure it was gonna work. I'm like, is somebody truly gonna move into this audience and then go through and click on this button and get this? And so that was a few years ago, maybe a year ago, and I tested it and trusted the process, and that makes it easier. But I think the logic of working through the conditions, I don't know how it works in others, but that's the hard part.
Yeah.
Once you got that down, the content is pretty easy, especially if we're not supposed to write a lot.
Right. Yeah, definitely. So I don't know I can't remember. It's been a few months since I've been in MailerLite, so I don't remember the specifics, but I know in ConvertKit, if you create a sequence, you can just hit duplicate, and you can. And so that's something I do all the time. So if I've got Quick Start Guide A and I want to make Quick Start Guide B and C, I hit duplicate, and I can bang them out pretty quick, because usually I'm keeping very similar formats, very similar layouts, almost very similar flow of those emails. Fall recipes isn't that different from Thanksgiving recipes, which isn't that different from Christmas recipes. And so I just found that doing them in batch like that can be a good use of time. Just bang them out.
Yeah, MailerLite lets you save templates, so I did save them as templates. Yeah,
perfect.
And you can duplicate too.
Right, so that should make it faster to crank through them. Love it. Anybody else want to show? Oh, Jonathan, I don't know if you want to unmute and tell us, but anything more?
Yeah, I was able to get everything implemented last night. I was a little bit behind, on the first day, but I was able to get everything written up. I was super happy with how it turned out. My subject lines, I think, are pretty on point, getting people curious and, focusing on their self-interest. So really excited about it.
Sweet. And did you what are you doing? Are you doing a pop-up, or what are you doing?
There's a pop-up and then an embedded section towards the bottom of every article.
Sweet. Now you're the Rev4 one, is that correct?
Yeah.
Okay, awesome. Well, but this goes for everybody, by the way. I mentioned this yesterday, but as you're making more progress and you're moving down this, if you ever want me to look at the opt-in forms of any sort, let me know. Just send them to me, and I'll be happy to take a look and see if there's any ways that we can improve those. I'm happy to do it here at the end of this call too, if you guys want. So anybody else have any? Thank you, Jonathan and Emily, for sharing. Anybody else have any, or is anybody stuck, or does anybody else do something good? I like the sharing aspect here. All right, shy people. So that means that you either are killing it and you don't want to share, or you haven't really quite done anything just yet, and you intend good things, right? Is everybody like that? Okay, well, let's do this. Let's talk today. I promised to talk about pop-ups, and so I'm going to lead with that. I will also sorry, Jonathan's just popped up for me. I was snooping on him, so looks pretty good, Jonathan.
Thank you.
One quick note. This is for everybody. The word subscribe is not my favorite call to action on these buttons. I know that that's literally what they're doing, but I like something that's a little bit more, yes, I want this, or send it to me, or go, something that, I don't know, subscribe just feels like a bigger commitment. Anyway, just a couple of thoughts there for everybody. So we'll talk about pop-ups. We'll talk about the Forever series. We're going to talk about how I schedule and plan for seasonal content. We'll talk about RSS content, and if we have time, we will dabble with one of my first money-making topics. So here, let's start with the pop-ups, because I shared with you in the Facebook group. So if you need more information, you can check that out. Let me just open up my screen here, or share my screen. Let's start with something that is not actually a pop-up, okay? Before I get into the pop-ups, I wanted to share with you that pop-ups are not the only way to grow your list, certainly, but they are very, very effective. And that's why they've been around for so dang long. And that's why we'll talk about them. But there are other things that you could do. For example, Raptive offers Slickstream, and Slickstream has a feature called a highlighter. Now, it's also available in OptinMonster, and NerdPress has if you use NerdPress, they have a free app that they make available. So this is scrolling over here on the left. It's taking forever to get to it. But then what happens is, you've seen this before. There's another company out there that does something similar called Spotlight Subscribe. But here, it just highlights. It's like a pop-up. It's not actually a pop-up. It's just graying out everything else for a moment and calling attention to it. In OptinMonster, it's called attention activation. In Slickstream, I think it's called a highlighter. So if you want to do that, you have access to Slickstream, I believe, right, with Raptive. So, my suggestion is take advantage of that. This stuff works. It works great. Slickstream also has another feature in it, and I'm not mentioning this just because Raptive owns Slickstream, but I think it's pretty helpful. Is that you can, for example, if you have a recipe or an article, you can save that with a little heart, and then it saves it to favorites. It creates an account, and then they can save favorites. If you're going to do this, I suggest that you give a few more instructions on how to find this, or how to find their favorites afterwards. That's been the biggest bugaboo, I think, that people have had with the saved recipe, is they save it and then they really never know how to go back to it. So what I actually do, and I'm not going to get into all the details about how Slickstream works here, but just know that Slickstream gives you a tag for, like in the case of ConvertKit, Slickstream gives the system a tag so that you know that it's Slickstream was how it got in. I don't know how it works with other platforms exactly, but the gist of it is you can create an action when that tag is set that says, okay, and then that triggers an email that says, thanks for saving your recipe. Here are, or your article. Here's how you find that in the future. And here are 5 other most saved articles or recipes. Okay, I hope that helped one of you. If you think about that flow, think about the user and what they're going through as they're using Slickstream. Another thing that works great is quizzes. I did not set this up for Foodie Crush. She has had this for a very long time. I'm not an expert in quizzes, but I know that there are some people who use them quite religiously and do great with them. So if you want to check out how that works, go check out foodiecrush.com, see her quiz, and then the software that she's using, and I am an affiliate for it, but it's not like I'm a big shill for it. I just know that it's a pretty good software. It's called Interact, and that's what makes the quiz there. Okay. All right. There's, of course, there's all sorts of other things. If you come to me, a month from now and you say, I did your quick start guide, I did all that, and I'm not getting any signups. The very first thing that I would ask you is, how does anybody find it? That's why the pop-up discussion is so important. You can put this in the sidebar form if you want. Nobody will sign up. Because the sidebar form disappears on mobile, right? People don't even look over there anymore. So if you're not devoting the real estate, I guess is my point, to your list acquisition, then you're probably not that serious about this. The biggest blogs that I work with get site redesigns all the time. They pay tens of thousands of dollars for these redesigns, and they are always very careful about what real estate are they using for their list growth purposes. So some will devote real estate up top. They'll make a form that sits at the top of the website and you can scroll down and it's sticky there. That's a custom development type of thing. Others will have embedded forms in each article, post, or recipe. But I would, if you've done what you think everything you can do, the number one thing to ask yourself is anybody seeing this? So that leads to the pop-up discussion. Now, can I give you a personal disclaimer here before I go too far? I've been doing this for 5 years. I've worked with some of the biggest food blogs, travel blogs, finance blogs, you name it. Number one, if I had hosed their SEO anywhere along the way, I probably wouldn't still be in business, okay? I'm setting that up to let you know that I have a lot of experience doing this, and you can do pop-ups safely. Specifically, the concern that most people have is mobile. The reason for that, well, there's two very legit concerns that people have. I'm not dismissing these concerns at all. Number one is, I find pop-ups annoying, okay? I hear that a lot. Number two is, an SEO person told me I shouldn't do pop-ups on mobile because Google will penalize me. Anybody heard that? So what you will not hear me do, you will never see me pick a fight with an SEO type in any, do not tag me on a pop-up discussion in Facebook groups, because I will not engage. The reason for that is the SEOs, they are quoting when they, well, let's talk, actually, let me back up. Let's talk about the annoying part. The simple answer to that is don't be annoying. When somebody lands on Disney cruise tip, they Google Disney cruise tips, then they land on Picture the Magic Disney cruise tips page. If I showed them a pop-up immediately that said, never miss an update, that's annoying. Instead, if they land there, they engage with the content, they see that there's great tips, and then a pop-up says what to expect on your first Disney cruise, that's actually helpful. So my answer is, don't be annoying. Give something helpful. And that's the whole point of the Quick Start Guide. Now, to the SEO stuff, I'll probably spend, I don't like spending time on this, but I have to, because it's a common misconception out there. Back in 2016 or 2017, Google basically said, hey, be careful with pop-ups on mobile. They called them intrusive interstitials, which is actually, they never quite define what the difference is between a regular pop-up and intrusive interstitial. They give a very loose definition. And we might, you might be dinged if you use those. The whole point of it was customer experience, user experience. Think about it for a second. What was happening in 2016? They were 2 years removed from when the desktop traffic transitioned to almost the switch from primary traffic sources that would be on desktop to mobile, right? So many people were moving to mobile. And a lot of websites were carrying over poor experiences into mobile. Do you remember the Hotwire overlays, the Forbes overlays that took over the entire site? It was that kind of stuff. And Google was saying, stop it. Makes sense. It's a terrible experience. But that's the only real guidance they gave. And so since 2017, everybody who is in SEO has looked at that and has decided whether or not that means you should or should not do pop-ups, okay? I have done pop-ups on mobile, and I can tell you that if you do it the right way, this is also the way that Raptive does it. They do it themselves, and they have a relationship with Google. Then you will not run into any challenges. So first of all, what I'm talking about here is mobile. You can almost anything goes on desktop, but specifically but I think this does apply to desktop, but mobile specifically. Don't make pop-ups that cover the entire content completely, all right? People need to be able to see and engage with the content. Also, don't make it impossible to close. You know that thing where I have to hit that little tiny X and otherwise to close it? Make it so if I touch anywhere on the screen, it closes. That is in every single software out there. Also, you want them to be able to interact with the content of the site. Okay, so we do not want to get in the way of that. And the easiest way to do that is to delay when that pop-up shows. So maybe don't show it very first thing, like I was talking about with the Disney Cruise website. A couple of best practices are either you do a time delay, and it doesn't have to be very long, 10 or 15 seconds is fine, or let them scroll, 30% down the page, 40% down the page. Oh, I really like this stuff. Now show the pop-up, okay? So all you're doing is you're just avoiding that being the very, in your face, very first thing. That's annoying. That's not helpful. That's a bad user experience. Oh, and then this is don't show a pop-up that a user isn't likely to care about. Let's not waste the opportunity. Yeah, and so this is just the opposite of that. Wait to show a pop-up, show relevant pop-ups, size it appropriately, and make it easy to close. By the way, on the sizing of a pop-up, I typically do not use images on a mobile pop-up because they take up a lot of space, okay? So any questions on that? I'll keep rolling on here, but feel free to drop your questions into the chat if you have any. The answer is you can do it, and you can do it safely. You just you need to follow some best practices. Now, there are lots of different options. Oh my goodness, there are dozens of independent software programs for pop-ups, and there are only a handful that I really like. They range in price. Oh, even all of the platforms from MailerLite, MailChimp, ConvertKit, Flowdesk, they all have some sort of pop-up software built in. The problem with those is that they're usually, not like any of them. I don't like ConvertKits, I don't like Flowdesk, I don't like any of them. And it's usually an afterthought. They know that they need to do pop-ups for their customers, but they don't have a lot of flexibility. Think they're trying to run these businesses and send out billions of emails and make sure that those are delivered. And then they have to create these pop-ups, the software for pop-ups. There are companies that do it better. So what I'm going to share with you are some options that range in price and in functionality. Convert Pro is one that I've used a lot recently. This is kind of the budget software. Now, by the way, if you want to do free, then your platform probably has something. You can probably make it work. So don't get me wrong. If you're using MailerLite's free pop-up and it's working for you, great. I'm not telling you to go spend money just for the sake of spending money. I'm just telling you that I don't love them for lack of flexibility. Okay. Anyway, Convert Pro. All these are affiliate links, by the way. I'll drop them in here. But these are the ones that I use regularly. I used to use something else before Convert Pro. And then the NerdPress team came to me, if you know NerdPress, and they said, that software that you're using, it was called Thrive Leads, if anybody uses it, is causing a lot of bloat, and it's bringing down your server time, your site speed. And I was like, ooh, okay. And so they recommended, at the time, they recommended Convert Pro. I know that other people like Grayson Bell, if you know Grayson from iMark Interactive, also have good experience with Convert Pro. So Email on Autopilot has a tutorial on how to set up Convert Pro. It is a little weird in terms of its interface, and so maybe my tutorial will help you if you decide to go this route. It's about $90 a year, and so this is kind of the, if you're willing to spend any money but you don't want to break the bank on it, these are the types of pop-ups you can have. These are just 3 examples here. And I think I put a different example in the Facebook group today. So those are desktop versions. Mobile will be very same. In fact, this is Simply Whisked. She just has, her mobile would be cut this in half and just be this size. They have other features too, besides just the modal pop-up. They also have the info bars that go at the top, in content forms, full screen overlays, sliders, that swoop in if you like those things. So experiment with that stuff. OptinMonster. OptinMonster is kind of the gold standard for pop-up software. They've been around a long time. They have a ton of templates. They have a lot of templates for mobile. Anyway, really good company as far as I'm concerned, as far as the software goes. The challenge is that they're the most expensive. I believe that their pricing is based more off of, they're catering to e-commerce, because they'll charge you based off your page views. And most of the people that are in Raptive get a lot of page views and therefore kind of get penalized compared to, say, I don't know, an e-commerce site doesn't get a lot of traffic, but needs the pop-up to do their e-commerce work. Anyway, if you like them, I don't blame you, because it's really good stuff. So here's just some examples of different pop-ups from them. And here's an example of that attention activation that they have, that feature that highlighter feature that I was showing you before. ConvertBox, I'm spending too much time on this. I'm gonna go faster. ConvertBox is my current favorite. It's a little bit more pricey, but it's not as pricey as OptinMonster. I like this one the best. It's clean interface, it's simple to install. But the thing that I like the best about it is the A/B testing that's built in. It's the best A/B testing. I can easily test whether this image works, or just a picture of a ship, or does this need to be in, if I test this in blue versus red, or instead of what to expect on your first Disney cruise, it might be 10 things to know about cruising on Disney, something like that. I can test those things easily, and it gives me really good reports, and I can make more effective changes. It's hard to do that testing on OptinMonster. They have A/B testing, but it's a little more complicated. It's basically impossible on the budget platforms like ConvertPro. All right, any questions on pop-ups? Does that help anybody out there? I hope it helps one of you to at least have some ideas. All right, I'm going to move forward. Emily, did you have a question?
Yeah, what does Slickstream offer in terms of that? Or Grow? I have both of those already, and I feel like they offer those.
Yep, Grow and Slickstream kind of offer similar things. Grow has a little bit more of they've got a deeper set of, like, they have a pop-up. It's not very flexible, so I don't love their pop-up, but they have Spotlight Subscribe, which is a competitor to the Slickstream highlighter. The Spotlight Subscribe is slick, but if you can do it in Slickstream, it's the same thing. It really acts almost identical. So yeah, I mean, there are tons and tons of different options, and those are good ones, certainly. All right, let's take a look today at what we've been doing. All right, so you've got this quick start guide that you're building. We're getting some pop-ups in place. Maybe you're doing printables and downloadables and wallpapers. I don't know, whatever you're doing to get people onto your list behind a paywall, or a tripwire or something. Once they're on the list, here's what I'm going to go over today. I suggest that you consider the Forever Sage, which I'll explain in a second, 1 per week, and that you consider sending the seasonal weekly broadcast once a week. For some, I'm just giving you a cookie cutter starting point. Many of you are way beyond this. Many of you are already doing this. Many of you, like, I don't know, Nikki, you guys might want to, whatever you're doing as far as frequency, you might consider adding one more in. I will tell you, and I'm speaking to my food bloggers out there, Rosemary, you might hear this too. You can email more often than you think. I have tested this. I have clients that send daily. I'm not saying you should go to daily, but if you're doing 2 a week, maybe try 3 and see how you feel. If you're doing 3, maybe try 4. I'm not kidding. With food, you can't. Jonathan could never get away with that, right? I don't think he could get away with that with RAV4. I don't think Gary could get away with that for plant care. But with food, I'm not sure if you realize this, but some people eat more than once a day. There's some people that eat 3 times or more a day. So these gluttons love their inspirational recipes. So that's just for my food folks out there. Nobody's going to believe me. You're not a single one of you is going to go do that. but just take my word for it. All right, Forever Series. Okay, I love this technique. I think this is fantastic. If you are a creator of any type and you have devoted your life to making great content, the whole point of this technique is to take your best stuff and put it on autopilot. This right here, this is a guy named James Clear. You may have heard of him. He is the author of a book called Atomic Habits. I discovered James and his website back in 2017, before the book was out. And at that time, he was talking about self-improvement and habits and goals. And it was fantastic. I signed up for his newsletter, and this was in the summer of 2017. And as you can see, I got an email from him almost about once a week, a couple times more. This is what he sent me. And to me, I'm new to James's content. So what does it look like to me? It's all new to me. I have, as far as I know, he sat down every Wednesday, started going like this, and sent me a personal email. That's as far as I know. I did some research. I put on my Sherlock Holmes outfit. I had to choose one because I have many. And I went back and I did some detective work to see, when did James originally publish the articles that he was promoting in his newsletter? So check this out. These first two down here, these were some sort of welcome. But this one right here, forget about setting goals. This is kind of his cornerstone piece of content. He originally published that article in 2013, 4 years previous. And the next one that he came out with one week later, that one was a year old. Then he sent me something kind of newish, I guess, but then 3 years old, or it should be 2 years old, a year old, 2 years old. Who does this guy think he is? He's pawning off his old stuff on me. Oh, the nerve. Look, goal setting is evergreen. In fact, the same content that he wrote in 2013 made him a best-selling author in 2020 when he released Atomic Habits, right? It's the same stuff. He just put it into a book. And when I'm still benefiting from, Think and Grow Rich or 7 Habits from Highly Successful People, whatever, your content, your best stuff, your evergreen content, it's not all created equal. So why are we delivering it haphazardly? I want you to think about this. A new person visits your website. He or she likes what they see there. They sign up for your newsletter, thanks to that quick start guide. And then every week they get your very best stuff in their inbox. It brings them back to your blog, and you become a subject matter expert in their mind. They tell their friends, they buy all your stuff, you get the private yacht. That's how this goes. But it started with a new blog visitor who signed up for a quick start guide. The secret to this is called the Forever Series. So all we're doing is we're creating an automated sequence, and we're just taking your best stuff and putting it in an order that makes sense for your audience. Just like we were with the quick start guide, except we're doing this on a longer scale. So how does this work? You create a series of your best messages and put them in order. Send it weekly. And then when something new happens, you got some new awesome piece of cornerstone content, you just move it into the right spot. Maybe you put it at the end. James could put it at the end of his sequence, his Forever Series, or maybe you put it at the beginning, or maybe you stick it here in the middle and you swap some other things around, or if something's not performing, you just delete it. Get rid of it. It's set in a sequence, but it's not set in concrete. The glory of this is that because you are the subject matter expert, you know what's down around that next corner. You should be able to guide them. In fact, I called my company Personalized Paths when I originally, incorporated, because this is the main thing I love about email. And I used it at all of my e-commerce experience to create journeys. When I moved into the blogosphere world, I found that nobody was doing this. And I thought, that is a missed opportunity. I mentioned this the other day, maybe, but I have a Disney related website. And when somebody signs up for that quick start guide, what to expect on your first Disney cruise, I can't deliver all of my awesome knowledge about Disney cruising in one series. So once they're done with that quick start guide, they get an email once per week for about 35 weeks. That's how long this Disney Cruise Forever series is. And email number 1 that they get is always email number 1, whether it's June or January, it doesn't matter. It's the most powerful Disney Cruise tip I ever learned. Email number 2 is what to pack, because literally everybody wants to know what to pack for a cruise. Email number 3 is how to avoid getting seasick. Email number 4 is what happens on Disney's private island. Email number 5 is, see, I know what they don't even know. I know what they should be expecting. They should be thinking about avoiding seasickness before they go. They should be thinking about where to stand to see the fireworks for Pirate Night. Okay? But they may not realize that. Now, to illustrate that point further, there is an email in the series towards the end. One day I was feeling a little goofy. We were going on a cruise, and my wife had put together a playlist for the kids for us to listen to in the car between Orlando and Port Canaveral. It's an hour drive. So she'd made this playlist, and it had fun songs like Walking on Sunshine and, you know, stuff like that. And so I took that playlist and I published it as an article, as a post. Total fluff, helping no one, maybe a couple of people. I put that at the end of the Forever series. By the time they've gone through 30 weeks of real meaty stuff, they're okay with a fun little piece like that. What if I had done that at the very beginning? They're like, okay. Not as helpful as the most powerful cruise tip I've ever learned. Is this sparking any ideas for some of you? I'd actually like to take a moment. If you do not, well, even I don't care if you do or you don't have a Forever series. Let's do a little mini exercise. After somebody completes your quick start guide of your evergreen content, what are the next 5 things that they should know? Let's do it. Down in the chat, start typing. Let's go. Let's come up with a Forever series real quick. This does not take long. You know, if you are into travel, people always want to know the attractions, where to stay, what to eat, right? It's not complicated. I'll pause because I have a chemically induced drink here. I'm going to take a sip of. All right, Michelle's getting the points again. You're addicted to the points, Michelle. I love that about you. Where to buy or save money on high quality food? Good. What to do if they enter at different points? Oh, what do you do if they enter at different points? Great different series. Great different sequences. Now, a Forever series doesn't have to be forever. A Forever series could be 3 emails. Let's use this example for example. Let's go back to the food for a second. Well, actually, my Disney site, I have other segments besides cruise. I have parks, I have Disney Fun, etc. I also have limited content related to a Disney cruise. I don't do that for a living. That was a side hustle I whipped up. So about 30 weeks is pretty good for me. I have some clients that have 2 years worth of Forever series content because they've been doing this for so long. Jansen at Everyday Reading, she texted me not long ago and said, I did it. No, we did what? She said, I added my 200th Forever series. And I said, you have a problem. That is sick. But she loves it because, look, Harry Potter was all the rage at one point. But you know what? It's still a great book series. And parents and kids love reading them together still today in 2023. Jansen has great Harry Potter content, but nobody's really searching for it in droves like they were before. She gets to dust off that content. And in Forever series week number 42, share with them what's great about Harry Potter. She loves it. Jansen doesn't touch a thing now. Anyway, back to the Disney cruise thing. Well, there's only a certain number in there. Let's say that you had a food blog and you had an Instant Pot quick start guide. What do we know about that reader? They're into Instant Pot recipes. What if you only have a handful more of Instant Pot recipes? Well, what I would probably do is send them a few more weeks of Instant Pot recipes and then dump them into the general Forever series. In the same way that Emily was daisy chaining those together. You can use automation to say, all right, when they complete the Instant Pot series, now pick them up and move them into the general Forever series. Rosemary says, for my Forever series, I go through my categories and break it down into 5 small recipe newsletters. Will you elaborate on that a little bit, Rosemary? I don't know, do you want to unmute? Can you unmute, or is it, I know you're on the other side of the pond, so maybe not. Alex, that's exactly right. After readers go through the quick start guide on designing the solar, you send tips and tutorials, because you can assume that if they're still reading, they still want to save money, they want to save time, they want to save the earth, they want to save all things. So yeah, absolutely. Rosemary?
Okay, so for example, okay, mine is authentic Italian. So for example, pasta. Okay, pasta, I might do like 5 easy tomato sauce recipes and 5 homemade pasta recipes and 5 easy pasta recipes, that sort of thing. 5 vegetarian pasta recipes.
Yeah, yep.
5 meat recipes, meat sauce recipes, 5 cream sauce recipes, that sort of thing.
Now you have this going right now, right?
Yeah, I do.
And those perform pretty well.
Pretty good, yeah. They go out. Actually though, I switched over to my fall. So like you said, I might go back and add my Forever in, so then I do 4 newsletters a week rather than just 3.
Yeah, there you go. Okay, I want to
Yeah.
touch on that, Rosemary. I'm glad to hear you
Okay.
say that you're switching to fall.
Yeah.
The thing with the Forever series, and I'm going to talk about seasonality here in just a second, is that it doesn't have to be on all the time. If you're
No, I
in,
turn it off, yeah.
yeah, if you're in food, for example, and it's Thanksgiving time, and this is obviously what you're doing, but this is for everybody else. If it's Thanksgiving time, turn off, and you're sending 2 emails a week. One of them is a Forever series. You would be better served, and you'd be better serving your customers with Thanksgiving recipes twice a week. So you just pause the Forever series for a little bit until you get through that busy time, and then you turn it back on to serve your customers better. I love that. Also, one of the things that you mentioned that I love, I think illustrates the point. If it's Italian recipes, everybody, you can kind of understand that Rosemary knows that tomato sauce is key. That is not seasonal. So my 5 top things to make with tomato sauce is perfect email for the Forever series. I'm going to show you all, I didn't even think about this, but I'm going to show you all an example here. Let me jump down here. Give me a second. I should have brought this up earlier. The types of things that you could have. All right, so start here. So this is from I Am Baker. Start here. My most popular recipes. This is kind of like a welcome series, but not really. This gives them what they need to know right away. There's my go-to recipes you can count on. 5 most popular recipes of all time. It's a great place to start if you are, stuck, because they're looking for inspiration on what to bake. Here's one. 10 old favorites from the recipe archive. That's kind of fun. Did you know my website has over 10 years worth of recipes? Here's some favorites. It's a random grouping, but it's a catchy theme. Go ahead, eat that muffin. Katrin, sugar-free Londoner, muffins are good all year round. So when she shares her top 5 low-carb muffin recipes, I could get this in March, or I could get this in October. It's the same to me. All right, does that make sense for y'all? I missed some questions here. Should we have the users restart the series once they finish it? I have 20 weeks set up. Nice. Not sure how long the sequence needs to be before they loop back. Okay, depends on your content. I don't know how it's going to be with with trucks, but for recipes, absolutely. If you gave me a chocolate chip cookie recipe today and I just wasn't in the mood to make it, 6 months from now, you can give me that chocolate chip cookie recipe again, because I really like chocolate chip cookies. Or even if I did make it, I'd probably need the reminder. How often can you talk about the security system? I don't know. So, but you've got so much content, dude. I just feel like you could probably string it out a little bit, but certainly after 6 months, They do not remember. So think about email math. What's a good open rate? 50% would be fantastic, right? And what's a good click rate? Oh my goodness, wouldn't 10% be great? That means that 90% of people never clicked the article to begin with. So yeah, you can repeat stuff. Absolutely. Now, what I might do in your case, Jonathan, is I might come up with different takes, a different topical spin. So for example, if I was doing the coolest thing about the RAV4 anti-brakes system might be a standalone email. But then I could have another email that says my top 5 highest rated articles. And then I just pick that one up and put that in with 4 others. Yeah, it's a hodgepodge, but that theme feels different. And if I saw it before, I don't have to click it again. But the odds are, as we were talking about email math, they hadn't actually seen it, and then they can click through it. So, but yeah, you could just loop straight back through it too. All right. And then Rosemary Jen was asking you, I think, a clarifying question. Is that 5 pastas recipe example 5 separate emails or one that's a roundup? I think you were talking about different emails that are also roundups. Is that correct?
Exactly.
Yeah.
All different.
Kind of like what I just showed here, I think.
Yeah.
From the rest.
And I also did, like you said, I'll do one of 5 most popular on the blog, and then 5 most underrated, 5 of my favorite, that sort of thing.
Okay. Let's talk about that for a second.
I throw everything at them.
Yeah, it's great because social proof is a great way to do that. So you can do, just jot these down, folks. Highest rated, my personal favorites, most popular, most visited, my stolen from my grandma. That one works a lot, by the way. That's a fun one. This month's tops, my kids' favorites, my husband's favorites, my wife's favorites, my boyfriend's favorites, my girlfriend's favorite. Literally, you can say the same things in different ways over and over and over again. Social proof, if you have it, use it. All right, that's the Forever series. Hope that helps. My suggestion, I often get asked, how many emails are in a Forever series? It can go on forever, but it doesn't have to. The logic here is if they're digging your stuff through 6 emails, what happens on week 7 when you don't have it? Are they going to magically come back to your stuff? No. But if you sent that email, they probably would. That logic holds whether it's week 16 or 17, 26 or 27, and so on. So the more you have in there, the less you have to work later. Here's a tip for doing this faster. If you've been emailing at all for a while, go back through your previous stuff. Anything that got good engagement. See if you can copy it straight up and drop it into a Forever series. Or maybe it was seasonal, my top 5 Christmas cookies. You could take that same concept and say my top 5 cookies. Just learn from what worked, copy, paste, repeat. All right, let's get to the seasonal stuff. Let me know if you have any questions on the Forever series, though. The seasonal stuff is the same. I'm going to share my screen again here. I write the emails the same way. The difference is, it's what is my audience thinking about right now. So often when I get a new client, I work with a lot of, as you can tell, I work with a lot of food bloggers, but this is also true for other niches, but I think it's easy to understand with the food for a second. One of the first things that people say to me is, I send out an email every week with my newest recipes. All right. Even your great Aunt Mildred, who loves you dearly, does not know your full catalog of stuff. What's new is a you and me thing. It's not for them. It's all new to them. Now, yes, you can say what's new on the blog, and that's interesting to people. But what's more interesting around the Super Bowl time is to send me Super Bowl recipes. So Rachel, from Rachel Cooks, I worked with her in 2018. And ever since that time, she has sent the exact same email with some slight tweaks to the formatting. around the Super Bowl. And it's the same recipes in it every year. She's got the salsa, she's got the sliders, she's got the buffalo chicken dip. The question that nobody asks is, Rachel, when did you originally publish these recipes? Who cares? It could have been 5 years ago. It could have been 5 minutes ago. The point is that I need the buffalo chicken dip now for the game. So if you're not doing emails that way, I encourage you to rethink your weekly newsletter. Now, I have a resource for you here. I'm going to share because I'm in a sharing kind of mood today. I guess you're just lucky. And I hope this helps one of you. Go ahead, open this up. And then you come up here. You probably all know how Google Sheets works, but you come up here to File, Make a Copy, and then you can make it editable for yourself. What I do is I list every day that I'm going to send. By the way, if you just change this first date, it will change all the rest of the other ones, okay? So whatever day, if you're going to send on Saturday or Sunday, it'll change all of them going down there. So just change the first field. And then you just plug in, what is my audience thinking about? These are just placeholders, silliness here, all right? But I think that many of us can relate. This is what the audience is kind of thinking. Let's scroll down here. This is where we are. So they're thinking about pumpkin spice and fall decorating, and maybe they're thinking about family costume ideas or best haunted houses or pumpkin decorating or Halloween, right? Thanksgiving is right around the corner. So Thanksgiving recipe, interesting. What is it that your audience is thinking about right now? Now, I realize that in the world of some of you, seasonality isn't as big of a deal as it is for others. So, but there's still some, like winterizing your car or that kind of stuff is a possibility here too. Then you just come in, what can I solve? What problem can I solve? Well, I have a ton of, I have a lot of pumpkin recipes. So I'm going to just take these and plug them in here. Bum, bum, bum. Guess what? You have your email planned. You can do this faster. You can do this in 15 minutes. You could do the entire next quarter in 15 minutes today. So if any of you have struggled with consistency, I hope this tool will help you to get unstuck. Pause for a second. Any questions? Have I lost anybody? No idea what I'm talking about. Or this is so elementary, dude, like move on. That could be where we are. What happens when they finish the Forever series? Do they just move to the weekly? Well, I hope that, Emily, that you're already sending, if you're doing what I'm suggesting, that you're sending 2 a week, that you're already sending a weekly newsletter based off of something like this. If they finish the Forever series, you might ask yourself the question that I think, who was it? Jonathan, maybe? Or Alex? I can't remember. Was, what do I do? Maybe you rerun it. A quick thing you could do in MailerLite, for example, is use that template, duplicate Forever Series 1 and make Forever Series 2. When they complete Forever Series 1, they're added to Forever Series 2. Just keep it rolling. Because you can keep adding to those as you go. I hope you will. I hope you'll work intelligently and do batch work and do a bunch of emails at once, or keep adding emails into your Forever Series. Another way that you can do that, by the way, is right now I'm writing a weekly newsletter, and it's awesome. Again, at the time that you write it, make a version and drop it into the Forever Series too. 2 birds, 1 spreadsheet. I don't know. Okay. Any questions? Feeling good? All right. Rock me, Amadeus. What should we do now? Well, I think this would be fun to just share with you some randomness. How about that? I was going to get into some money-making stuff, but I think that, well, a couple of points here I'm going to make about segmentation. Okay, I believe that this is important as we look to making money. So over the next 2 days, I'm going to turn our attention to what you probably originally signed up for, which was, how do I actually make money with email? So this was all set up. You have to have a good system in place. You have to be growing in order to, you have to have, have something that you can pitch and share. So I believe that on the internet right now, there's a lot of this. Solve my problems and maybe I'll buy. A couple of examples. Anybody bought anything off of Facebook where you didn't know the brand, or Instagram, one of those ads? I have, I think once. And it was a total impulse thing, and I kind of regretted it after. The questions I was at, it was this device that was like $40, and I could put it in my wallet. I travel a lot, and I like to do videography. And so I could put it in my wallet, and I could set my phone on it, and it would take videos of me, you know, just propped on a rock somewhere. And I thought it was pretty cool, but I spent $40 on it. I was like, oh man, this thing's going to break after. What did I just buy? So I had a lot of regret because I didn't know the brand. I didn't know the company. I just thought it was cool. I have looked at, there's this shorts brand called 10,000, has a little X on there. And I've seen those ads a gazillion times. I've gone to their website and put stuff in the cart many times and never bought. All right. Why? I really think that it's tough to sell anything. And so if you solve their problems and build trust, that's how you can best sell anything. So this goes, why am I talking about this? Because this relates to what we're going to talk about on Thursday and Friday. If you want to make money by selling a product, if you want to make money by getting sponsors, if you want to make money with affiliate marketing, if you want to make money by creating a course, it is really hard to do that until you have built trust. I believe that segmentation is the key to increasing your overall sales going forward. We have talked at high level cookie cutter stuff right now. All right. I've given you a broad sense. Emily has taken it into different segments. And I dig that. I know that we have some people that are looking at the solar. You might have beginning and you might have expert. Segmentation matters a ton. And so I believe that it's easier to sell when you build thriving lists where you serve the segments. So if you're getting serious about making money with email, please hear me on this. Once we create these segments through quick start guides or other relevant lead magnets, we then can serve them with segmented forever series or segmented sends that sends them solutions to their problems for free. If you'd like to segment your list, a couple of things. First of all, I don't have a slide on this, but retroactively, it's really hard to segment your list. Has anybody ever tried that? Like gone back to your list? You can survey them and you can ask a question and you'll get a handful of people that will tell you. And then you have to figure out the tech riddle of how do I actually now tag those people with that interest? So that's a little bit of a challenge. I'm telling you, it's easier to do it up front when you get the new subscriber, if you think this through. So you can do it with so this is Chrissy from The Busy Baker. She has a no-fail muffin baking guide, but she segments based off of baking interest. So she knows when they come through this muffin baking guide that they're probably interested in other baking tutorials and tips. In my case, with the Disney cruise, what to expect on your first Disney cruise, I ask a few additional questions. Now be careful with this and I'll explain why, but what I'm asking here is information that I can use to better serve them. The reason I say be careful with this is that the more forms that you or fields you add to your form, the more abandonment of the form you will get. People go, wait a second, what do you need all that for? And then they're like, oh, it's too much work. And then they boogie out. I just happen to know that people are going on a Disney cruise. If I know this information, I have some automations and some things that can really help them even better. Depending on which ship they're going on, or if they're just, they're thinking about going, or if they have booked. When you're doing this, this is totally in the weeds right now. Okay, so this is such a small, tiny little thing. But if you're using ConvertKit or one of those others that has tags, organize your tags and labels in a way that you'll actually remember and use later. I know this from hard experience. So, for example, let's say you have an audience that is into cricket and you have an audience that's into quilting, and you have two different I don't know, segments. In ConvertKit, it would show, if I just done the tag as Cricut or quilting, it shows them alphabetically. So Cricut would be the C way up here and Q would be way down here. And then I don't even remember that I have those tags. And then I'm like, what do I do with that? What was that for? I can't remember. Give yourself some smart tagging strategy. Anyway, maybe that helps one of you as you're thinking about this. I just have run into that. Think through each segment and journey. I know that when I talked about that initially, there was a little bit of a groan of, oh, more work. I'm telling you though, if you're serious about serving these people, if I'm serious about serving the Disney cruiser differently than somebody going to Disneyland, I can think through their journey, even if it's only a few steps ahead, and do what we talked about earlier, to create a forever series by segment. Even if it's only for a couple of weeks, it still extends your subject matter expertise for them. Let me give you an example here. Oh, and the why is it provides more solutions to their problems and increases engagement. That's obvious, right? They're going to, the more relevant the email is to them and their needs. So here's one model that you could do. Let's say that you're a food creator. It's just an easy example we can all apply to or relate to. And let's say that we have an Instant Pot quick start guide. Maybe you have already a general recipe forever series and a seasonal broadcast going on, but you've got another batch of Instant Pot recipes. It's a pretty safe bet that the person who has an Instant Pot is probably going to open and click Instant Pot recipes more than general. So why not send that to them for a while? And then you can do what I talked about, where once they're done with that series, however long it is, 5, 10, 100, 2, it doesn't matter. Then they get dropped into the general forever series. The nice thing about this too is you could start with one Instant Pot recipes in this sequence, or one Instant Pot email in this sequence, and then add in a second one and a third one and just grow it as you can. And then, but each person who reaches the end just gets added to the general and it's cool. And you could also be additive. So you might have, in my case, I do this with the Disney. People who love Disney really love it. So I'm good at having the seasonal broadcast here. I'm also can get away with a general Disney interest. And for the Disney cruisers, I send them an extra email. And they're happy to get it. All right. Do I ever tailor these series to special diets? Yes, absolutely. Oh, absolutely. And I think you're getting the point here. That's kind of what this whole thing is about, right? Because they have different needs and you can serve them differently. And friends, remember, you write the email once and you're done until you write the next one. But the main point is that email now serves you for a long, long time to come. Random tips and inspirations, okay? Why your quick start guide might not be converting. We can talk about this if you want when somebody shows me their form. But visibility, how do people find it? I already talked about that. It could be that your messaging is just off a little bit. Like you've got something awesome, but you're just not hitting them with the message. So you're going to want to experiment with that if it's not working. Could be that your design is ugly, confusing, doesn't bring out the, it's too cluttered. I don't know. It also could be that it's not actually solving a real problem that they have. Do you remember that whole thing about the pies? I think I told you about. I had a quick start guide about pies, and we got crickets, and it wasn't actually solving a problem. People didn't want to bake more pies; they just wanted to make one pie. And so when we switched to general baking or more desserts or something, it did much, much better. Oh, how do you ask them? I'm sorry, I didn't even talk about RSS, did I? My bad. Okay, so RSS. So I like using RSS to send instant updates, meaning new blog. Oh man, I hit the top of the hour. Okay, I'll go fast. Basically what you're doing, you're saying, if you like this stuff, click here and I'll send you an instant alert. I think there may even be an example here. Loving these emails? To get an email whenever I post a new recipe or article, click here. What happens is that in ConvertKit adds them with a tag to the RSS group. So you probably have that same type of automation in your in whatever platform that you have. Okay. I don't love RSS as the main thing or the only thing, but if they're raising their hand and saying, yeah, I love you, I love everything about you, they need both a restraining order and access to the RSS feed, right? To send them emails. All right, here's your homework assignment. Launch that quick start guide. Come on, let's finish it up. Let's go. Second, write that forever series. Write the first 5 emails. You can do it. I promise you, it's a great feeling. The forever series is the thing that people come back to me about later, saying, I'm so, like years later, I'm so glad I have that. It allows you to take time off of your business and emails are still being sent. It allows you to be sure that your audience gets the best stuff in the order without you having to work at it. It's great. So launch that. And then I hope that you'll also build out your seasonal broadcasts for the rest of the year. You can do it. Even if you don't write the emails, you'll feel great just having your plan of attack in place. Okay. If you have any questions, I will stick around. If you got to get, I look forward to seeing you tomorrow when I'm going to start diving in to specific ways that you can make money with your list. So there's some cool stuff out there, folks. So I hope you'll join me. All right. Have a wonderful day. If you have any questions, go ahead and unmute. I'm here for you. And this Coke Zero.
Hi, Matt. I have a question. Is someone else speaking right now? Sorry.
Yeah.
Hey, I think it's like more of a technical question, but right now I only have an RSS feed email and it's in MailChimp and I'm going to sign up with ConvertKit.
Okay.
And I'm wondering if I can put all of my RSS subscribers into a forever series. Can I do that? Can I just import everyone?
Yes, you could. Well, you have lots of choices there, but first of all, you're when you make that switch, you're going to import all, or you're going to export all your subscribers from MailChimp. You're going to import them into ConvertKit. At that time, they will ask you if you'd like, what sequence do you want them to be added to? Do you want to set a tag? What I recommend is that you'll create a tag before you do the import. Create a tag in ConvertKit that is something like RSS, and then also go create at least the placeholder sequence. You don't have to have the whole thing ready, but you can go get the placeholder sequence for the Forever series and then import them in, add them to the Forever series, add them to the RSS tag, and then you'll be all set for whatever other activities you want to do. Even if you decide to change your mind, they'll still be set up and labeled appropriately for you.
Okay, I was just not sure about the legality of it, if they only opted in for the RSS, if I could, like the anti-spam legislation or whatever.
Nope, you're
might
totally
be different
fine.
in Canada, but I wasn't sure. Okay,
Nope,
great.
You're
Thank
totally
you so
fine.
much.
Yep. Good
Okay,
luck.
thanks. Thank you.
All right. Anybody else? All right. All right. We will see you all tomorrow. Take care.